Hello, welcome to the Hartwood Pioneer Memorial Wall. Over the next few minutes I just want to introduce you to the memorial and also introduce you to the legacy lectures. The memorial is surrounded here on all three sides of the Preston Temple. This last week my family and I have been involved with the pageant, that's why I'm all bearded up, and that will carry on for another week of performances. That has been an amazing, inspiring experiences for everybody that I think has attended that. But what we're trying to capture here is, whereas that lasts for 2 weeks, we're creating something that will last for years, for decades, for generations. What it will do is capture and play a reverent tribute to centuries of British pioneers. We'll look back at the reformers and the martyrs, people like John Wycliffe, George Wishart, William Tyndall, John Knox. We'll see some of the forerunners to the Restoration, people like John Wesley, George Fox. We'll also pay tribute to people like the Mayflower Pilgrims, the King James translators, the English Bible, and also authors, poets and scientists, all British, all who had a faith in Jesus Christ. So not only will it pay a tribute to all of them, but also then show the introduction of the restored gospel in 1837 to Britain and the impact that has had then on the modern church. So that will be done through bronze statues, plaques, through interactive technology. It will be an opportunity for people to pay tribute to their own family members, whether it be through a plaque, a memorial bench, a tree, just an opportunity that people in any way can say thank you for their sacrifice and for the pathway that they've given. One of the key things the Memorial Garden will have is a visitor centre, and inside of that will be an exhibition. Right now we have a temporary exhibition that we've arranged for the pageant, but in here we will find out things like, for example, the history of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Very much a British experience, a British organist, a first British organ. The first seven of the first 8 conductors were all British. We'll talk about individuals. We'll talk about B.H. Roberts, John Davis, Dan Jones, all these names that may be familiar or unfamiliar, and introduce us to their stories and their contributions. And we'll have artifacts, a few of which you'll see shortly. But this will be an opportunity for us to spend more time, more detail. So many of you who've had a chance to maybe visit Utah have been to the Church History Museum, the Sons of Utah Pioneers, the Daughters of Utah Pioneers. In fact, there's over 1,000 different museums, parks and plaques all the way through the Midwest there. Here in Britain, though, we have the Gadford Elm Chapel, the Hyde Park Visitor Centre, the London Temple Visitor Centre, and a few plaques scattered here and there. But there is a wealth of information that is untapped, unknown, and this will be kind of an opportunity to rectify that, to give our stories a voice and to start inspiring people with the stories of faith. I'd also like to introduce you to the legacy lectures. This will be an opportunity that people can download wherever you are in the world and learn more about the British mission and the impact of these early pioneers. What will they cover? Well, they'll look back into the centuries, into the 1300s, 14, 15, 16, 1700s. We'll look at those stories. And we'll also see the contribution of the early converts of the church. Sometimes in Sunday schools, priesthood, relief society lessons, we talk about the handcart pioneers or the trek across west. What we don't often appreciate is the story before the story. What happens over here in the British Isles? So many stories of faith and sacrifice. As we go through that journey together, we'll be looking at artifacts and also sites around the country that demonstrate and illustrate our story. Just a few examples here. One of the things we're going to show is this wonderful 2nd edition 1852 Book of Mormon. Not only do we see the English contribution, we'll also go and see what happens in Wales. So the Welsh were very eager to have their own copy of the Book of Mormon, and that's what I'm holding right here, a Welsh Book of Mormon. And it's quite a delightful book. I understand nothing in it. I am half Welsh, but I don't speak the language. But these are some of my favourite things, this Welsh Book of Mormon, and also, of course, the Welsh love their music. And here we have two of the very early Welsh hymnals by John Davis, and this Dan Jones had done one just before this as well. But in my mind's eye, I just love the idea of these Welsh saints carrying these to church and singing in them the songs of Zion. So you have an opportunity to learn more about them and their histories and their owners as well, who they were. Early publications, this is another publication, again in Wells. Dan Jones and John Davis were just amazing in terms of the output of pamphlets and books that they put out in the Welsh language. Likewise, in Britain, the English-speaking folk had their own kind of vehicle, and that was the Millennial Star. This was a stunning thing, went right from 1840 through to 1970, and it's a gold mine of information, telling not only facts and figures, but also great stories. So we'll be looking at the history of that and some of the things we gleaned from it. We'll be discussing some of the organisation of the church. You know, here I have some early licenses. These were used by early missionaries as they were going around the country. This one's an interesting tatty piece of paper. 1851, a notification of worthiness. Unusual thing. We'll also take a glance at those who were not too happy with us. There were people from other faiths who felt we were delusioned, fanatics, and there was lots of, some of it quite humorous, attempts to describe who we were and what we were doing. This one's quite a fun little one. Buffalo Bill, Cody against the Mormons. Here we go, Mormonism, a great delusion. And this was not only done in film and print and book, but you also see it be done in the graphic image. And many newspapers and journalists were quite nasty with the way they spoke. And one final thing I'll just show you. These are just the sorts of artifacts we'll have. This is a wonderful plate, Nauvoo plate. Here you can see the president of the church, or president of the quorum at the time, Brigham Young, surrounded by all the apostles, and the Nauvoo temple. This was actually commissioned here in Staffordshire after we had just lost the Nauvoo temple. So many of the British saints who joined were not only committed to this church, but had a great love for this building that they had helped construct and now had lost. So we'll be going through kind of not a whirlwind tour, but actually a very detailed, comprehensive tour of people, of places, of events, bringing British church history alive like I've never seen it done before. There's so much that I think is untapped, and the more I know I don't know, because nearly every person or every group that I take around, there's new stories that are coming up, and I'm not saying I know everything, but I think I want it to be the catalyst for people to share more, to make this not only a place you can come and memorialise, a place we can share these lectures, but a place that we can also share information with each other and build a greater picture of the whole of the restored gospel. Anyway, I hope that gives you kind of a nice overview, not only of the memorial garden itself, but also of the legacy lecture and its purpose and intent. I look forward to talking to you soon and starting our journey together in their footsteps and in their words.